Welcome to MTG Ectoplasm, your home for Spirit Tribal and Magic the Gathering. On this episode, the 75th episode, I told you I was going to get this gentleman, and I got him. So I hope you're excited, because I am. So let's get this episode started, shall we? Let's go. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on this episode. I am your host, Dwight, aka DeBlanco, a medium that wears an extra large. You can reach out to me on Twitter at MTG Ectoplasm, or you can email me directly at mtgectoplasm@gmail.com. Let me know how am I doing. Am I doing a good job, a bad job, or I shouldn't quit my day job? And then finally, MTG Ectoplasm is getting, a little fixed up thanks to the Ravishing Renata. So when you go there, you're going to go, what the hell is this? But have no fears, no worries, getting updated. And do me a favor, like I ask each and every episode, hit that follow, like, subscribe button. I'm not charging you $1, a peso, a ruby, an indol. Look, I'm not even charging you a Canadian dollar. That's all I'm telling you. All right. So hit that follow, like, subscribe button. And if you have friends and family that like magic, they're going to enjoy the show. And if they like spirits, they're really going to enjoy the show. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I had no choice. It was a moral imperative. I talked to this young man to bring, I wanted insight. And he told me, Dwight, do me a favor. Do 20 episodes. Put content down. And then when you get there, I might come on. So I did my 20. And then I did a 20. And then I did another 20 more. Let me just tell you, he is my mentor. He's my senpai. He's the you people call him the Merfolk Master. I call him the Maharaji of Modern, the one, the only, Nikachu MTG. How you doing there, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Oh man, you have no clue. I'm shaking over here. I'm nervous because I'm sitting here like, I got one of the big ones. I got one of the big fish.
Yeah, but you're experienced now. It's 75 episodes in. Oh, this is gonna be a piece of cake.
Exactly.
This is when you want to have me. There you go. There we go. We're going to have a great show.
I hope so. So for those who don't know, you can reach Nikachu at Nikachu MTG on Twitter and Twitch. And he does a show. Now, he's going to correct me here, but I'm going to stay on my ground. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. It's Coffee and MTG. What am I talking about? Nikachu, tell us about that show.
Oh, I mean, it's just a morning show. You ask questions and I've got answers, and we have a lot of fun. We look at the latest events in terms of news, the meta game shifts. I mean, we talk all things magic in the morning. A great way to start your morning from Monday to Friday, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
So if you want to be grounded and have your coffee grounds boiled up and ready to go, Nikachu is the way to go. Let me just tell you, I enjoy it. I used to be there all the time. Here, let me raise my little coffee cup and to you too, my friend. Now, I used to be there all the time. Unfortunately, I sold my business and I became a full-time nurse. So I have to catch you on replays. And this, let me just tell you, today's episode, bravo, sir. Bravo. I enjoyed it.
You're welcome.
So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for segment number 1. Segment number 1 is brought to you by my friends at Top Deck Games. They're based in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. That's all you need to know. They're also known as Card Titan. They do these big things. They're the up and coming. They're the bad boys of the Northeast. Okay, there you go. So with that being said, I got some interview questions here for you, Nikachu, and I decided to change it up, not the typical questions that you may or may not get.
Great.
So let's see what happens here. My first question for you is, what made you decide to become proficient in Modern compared to other formats?
You know what? First format I really played in Magic, I mean, like, in general, we just play with whatever cards we own, right? So that translated to the first Eternal format at the time, Extended. You got to go back to, like, the year 2000. That Extended at the time was Legacy. And then all of a sudden, I think, I don't know, around, like, 2003, 2002, they decided to rotate Extended. Fools! Because they wiped out the first time. They wiped out, I don't know, 7 years of Extended, and goodbye dual lands, goodbye all the fun counter spells. So anyway, I like lost a lot of interest in Magic. It's interesting. You rotate a format, and then all of
Mm-hmm.
a sudden, a lot of people they don't like it so much anymore. Wizards
Mm-mm.
of the Coast learned their lesson. They
Yes, they
realized
did.
Legacy. People love Legacy, and then they invented Modern. That's what I ended up gravitating to both of those at first. I was playing a good chunk of Modern and Legacy. But I ended up gravitating the most to Modern because I ended up being really good at the Modern Merfolk deck, and I started going
Okay.
deeper and deeper into Modern. But I like the non-rotating formats where basically archetypes for the most part stick. You see them, they wax and wane, they get additions, they move up and down in the metagame, but it's the closest I can get to chess in Magic the Gathering, where basically the strategies are more or less going to be very very similar. They might change a little bit over time because they have to, but it's a very stable format.
I hear you. You came in around probably the same time as I did. I came in right at the tail end of Urza, right at the beginning of Barcadian Mask.
I very similar. I came in at Invasion right before
Okay.
Invasion came out.
Okay. Not a problem. So, like, so you know how great Invasion was. Invasion Block was, I loved Invasion.
Well, it's hard for me to know because it was my first set. So
Okay.
like I had nothing to compare it to. Although when I look back, like I bought a whenever I would win like boosters, I would always get Mercadian Masks,
Ugh,
and the cards were terrible.
awful.
Like they're all
Awful.
bad. I don't know. I was chasing Rishadan Port. For anyone
Hmm.
that doesn't know, that was a chase card
Yes,
at
it
the
was.
time.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
it's like I don't know. I don't know what to compare it to in standard these days. It was like it was the Teferi Time Reveler of the standard.
There you go. Like my personal favorite card of that time was a Waterfront Bouncer.
Oh yeah. I mean, I didn't have any feelings towards that card at the time, but I do now. They erected that thing to be a merfolk.
Okay. Well, let me. Did they?
Hmm.
I did not know that.
It's the big
Oh
Mr.
wow.
Blue,
Okay.
Mr. Clean,
I'm
right?
gonna.
You look up that thing, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. It
now
is.
a the Oracle text is merfolk because I guess technically they
Renata, do you
were
mind bringing
merfolk
that
at
up?
the time.
My Waterfront Bouncer, if you don't mind.
Waterfront
My wife
bouncer.
is now. My wife is now typing it away. There it is. Merfolk Spell Shaper. Wow. Look at
Yep,
that. Okay.
Blue
Well,
Mr. Clean,
yes, it is.
cleaning up the pirates, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's all it was is really bad pirates back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, ugh.
Pirate
That's.
Stompy. Those prices have still held since then.
Oh, you know what's kind of funny? Like, there's been some really, I don't know, somebody made one of those old school pirate decks, and it was
Hmm.
supposed to be great, and it just utter trash. I
Yes.
put Panharmonicon with it, and it was like, oh, let me see how that works for fun.
Hmm.
And awful, awful. All right, my next question is: you're exceptionally well known for Merfolk. Is there something else you wish you were known for?
Maybe some sort of like mono blue control deck. Like the very first deck I played was mono. It was like a mono blue counterspell deck with like just a few win conditions to like finish off my opponent. So I love mono blue decks. That's what got me attracted to Merfolk in the first place. I
Okay.
just love blue. So I mean, if I got to win with creatures, fine, I'll do it. But I would be also comfortable doing it with counterspells. But I don't want to splash too much. I don't know. It's something like going Azorius doesn't feel right. Going Demir doesn't feel right. Maybe going Izzet would be okay, but I wouldn't mind going back to those hardcore blue control routes. And I have to say, I had a lot of fun playing some decks built around Urza, High Lord Artificer, which seems to be like a really strong, just a strong card in
Oh,
general.
it's actually it's
Hmm.
very extremely powerful card. I don't know what the hell Watsy's thinking, but
But aside from that, I mean, that's it. I mean, that outside of that, the other thing I'm known for is being a modern analyst. So,
yeah, well, you like I say, you are the Maharaji of modern. People come to you left and right, seeking your wisdom. People want to pay you $50, a clip to uh, play their deck at
mhm.
least one game. So I'm sitting here like, I might have to build a mono white clerics deck and go here, Nikachu. Let's see what you can do with this bad boy.
So yeah, let's see what we can do.
Exactly. What I wanted to ask you is, what made you become a content creator? Like, it's pretty different. I know you went to school for business,
Hmm.
and it just takes it's just hard for me to believe someone in the frozen tundra, the Winnipeg, Manitoba, go, hey, I'm gonna put myself on YouTube and just talk Magic the Gathering.
Well, so the deal is, I actually originally have a film degree. This is my first degree
Really?
from many, many years ago. I didn't really use it very much, but I've always been fascinated with filmmaking. I always loved I've loved the camera. The camera loves me. It's a great relationship that we have. And YouTube always fascinated me because it was anyway, so long as you have a camera, you can get that footage on the internet. Anyone can do this. Anyone can do it. A lot of people, they complain that they don't have the right equipment, they don't have enough equipment. No, if you have any camera, especially your phone these days, you could
Mhm.
make it on YouTube. You could go from 0 to 1 million subscribers. It's possible if you've got the right videos. So it's and I love that idea from grinding from the bottom and moving up. And hey, everyone has to start from the bottom,
Amen.
and I started from the bottom. I very much appreciate my growth over the years and how I've pivoted from here and there through my YouTube journey. So it's just, and it's very strategic. I love everything about YouTube. I love engaging with people. I love making content. It's wonderful.
Well, for me, this is like my second adventure into YouTube. I've been just the audio guy, the podcast guy. You're
Hmm.
like, I'm excited to try this new venue. I've done a podcast with my friend James. We do a podcast Thursday nights on Twitch called Handsome and the Other Guy, and it's just a weekly catch-up show where we just talk nonsensical stuff and put up little clips of stupidity, like Sexy Time with Dwight, Moist Thoughts. That's just me in the shower giving you shower thoughts. Like my favorite one is if two people drop a slice of bread on opposite sides of the planet, does the earth become a sandwich?
Yes.
So that's one of my stupid shower thoughts. But
What do you guys think? Is that a sandwich or what? Let us know in the comment section.
I like to ask, is a hot dog a sandwich? But nobody, everybody's like, no, it's bread.
That's a no from me. A hot dog is a hot dog.
Okay, for a fat guy, anything, it's food. I don't care. So, is it good for Magic? Is it good for the Magic community to have content creators for other archetypes, and why?
Yes. Yes, it's a really big deal. And I think I proved this. I might have been the first person to go all in on one archetype and build like a whole Patreon around it. I might, and like, offer sideboard guides and like just consistent content on the same deck. The first thing everyone wants when they buy into a deck is who's playing it? Where can I learn from this? Like, where can I find games on this deck? Because not every deck has a content creator.
Mm-hmm.
Every so often, like what archetypes these days don't have content creators? Sometimes
Vampires.
Burn doesn't have a content creator. Who
You
even
bring it up.
Spirits has sometimes trouble getting content creators because like Dr. Queller is like one of the best players, but he has nothing. He's got not he's not showing off any of his tips and tricks. You know,
I've been calling the guy out. It's a moral imperative. He needs to be on the show. And no ands or buts about it. I got Andre Segura, the Spirit Master, on the show.
hmm
I got all these other young men out here who do exceptionally well in Legacy and Pioneer and Modern, and I bring them onto the show. Like, share your knowledge, share your wisdom, because that's how we grow as a community. Fail. If you suck, fail forward. It's okay, but share your knowledge, and it's only going to make our community grow and prosper.
Yeah, well, but yeah, but it's unfortunately it's not for everyone.
Mm-mm.
Not everyone. That guy was pretty articulate though. I had him for an interview once, but yeah. So you've got Andre Segura. He's great for Pioneer and for Modern. But like there's some decks that have nobody or very very few, and people are like they feel uncomfortable in that
Mm-hmm.
situation, so people enjoy their deck way more when they have like a mentor, a tutor, someone to show them the way, at least give
Right.
them the basics. There might be a community around to answer questions, but I like my channel was almost born. Like my channel originally was just Merfolk content, Merfolk gameplay. It was
Right.
born from the fact that people were squabbling in the forums. They were like on MTG Salvation that was like the OG place to discuss strategy, and people will say, no, that wouldn't work, you got to do it like this, no, that doesn't work, you would have to do it like this, and people would contradict each other all the time. And I think that it's very difficult in written terms, um, to discuss theory in Magic. You got to show people. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, this is the deck, this is how we're sideboarding, this is my game plan. Okay, look, the game plan worked exactly as I said. Boom, it works. Even if it doesn't look good on paper, this is
Mm-hmm.
how it's done. I think a lot of decks cannot be explained in written words. It has to be shown. So, like, I think it's important in the content creation space that there are masters of their archetype, and I know I've inspired a lot of other people to. I'm not so much passed the torch, but a lot of people have replicated my content strategy in that way, and it's opened the door for a lot of people to engage modern in a good way. Because hey, you can buy your deck, learn from someone, and it's a lot more fun to learn and be prepared for your next tournament.
Amen. I mean, I actually had a young man reach out to me, I think last week. He's like, you know what? I just bought into this deck. I don't know what to expect. I stumbled upon you, and you gave some great insight, and you know what? I went from there. And now he's a constant follower. He's a constant listener. I'm like, thank you for joining the show. And you know what? I hope this will grow and make you, a better spirit aficionado.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I got a friend of mine from Brazil. He just chimed in, Douglas Rosa. He's like, "Hi there, I'm here."
Welcome, Douglas.
He just went 5-0 in Legacy with Spirits.
Whew.
Yeah, so he
Is it a
plays.
big deck in Spirit? It's in Legacy now.
It's slowly. It's like if, but
Moslem Wonder's pretty good.
oh, let me. He plays with the Pro Tour champion 2019, Peter De La Rosa, something like that. He's in that community in that town region. So he plays
Oh,
against
the
him.
Paulo Vito Rosa,
Amen, brother. PPVD, like,
the card.
yes,
His
that,
likeness is on the card.
yes.
On that
He
Thought
plays.
Sees taxing card.
He actually plays with the guy, like here and there when he shows up. I'm like, wow, man.
Oh, yeah, he can play test against him.
Exactly. I'm like, dude, this is great. I mean, I'm jealous. I mean, I don't have any world champions by me. Hello, Chuck. Good friend of mine in the play group. He's like, hey, I'm here. I'm supporting you. Thanks, pal. I get excited when I see people see my friends like, hey, what's going on? So, you said about archetypes. Now, I know there's, spirits is an up and coming archetype. Is
Mm-hmm.
there an archetype that you think that should, I'm not saying shouldn't get, but go, it's too simple of a deck where it's just, no, no instructions needed. Just play the deck.
Oh, no instructions? I would say the closest would be something like Burn or even the blue red Murktide deck. I would
Really?
say those are. I think so. The Murktide deck is almost a fantastic deck to get into. I think if you have no brains, you can get a lot of value out of that deck. I think you just play creatures, you point things at things, you just teach someone how to cast a Murktide Regent, and that's about it. Just remember the triggers. That might be the hardest thing to remember out of this deck. Remember the Dragon Rage Channeler trigger. Remember the Ragavan trigger when it damages the opponent. And remember that your Murktide gets bigger as the graveyard gets exiled. But the thing is, it's got a lot of the ceiling. I think is pretty high. So
Okay.
you can learn this deck. You can learn to do better with it. But I think you can get a lot of value out of it knowing nothing because it's just a bunch of really good, powerful cards. Um, and yeah, and then of course there's Burn. Burn, people always complain Burn is not easy. Burn's hard to play. Well, I mean, if the metagame's bad for it, sure, but when the
Hmm.
metagame's good for it, I mean, just playing creatures, turning them sideways, sending burn spells to your opponent's face is going to get you a lot of value. You're going to get a lot of wins like that. I mean,
Amen.
you can play it better, especially when times are tough. But when times are easy, then it's just easy.
There you go. Now, let me ask you, you've been putting out content left and right for the last several years. The
Hmm.
first time I actually caught a glimpse of you, and I was like, okay, I'm going to have to follow this young man, is when you were with the professor at Tulare Community College.
Oh yes.
I was like, I'll be honest with you. I was like, oh, I saw you. I was like, okay, let me learn more about this guy. Let me see what he does. And let me just tell you, I've been a big fan since then. Let me ask you, because I am a fan
Hmm.
and also a content creator, I have to ask this: what should fans expect from you in 2022?
Oh, you're gonna expect new stuff.
That's what I want
That's
to
what.
hear.
That's that. You know what I. If you want, if there's something you should expect, expect the unexpected. I'm trying to cut into new content in the MTG scene, in the MTG space that no one else is doing. Like I think the biggest evolution of my channel, as you may see, if anyone was there for 7 years, it was like all Merfolk content. It was just Merfolk content all day long,
Right.
and then it evolved to some discussions of the modern metagame. And now I'm creating these sort of I don't even know how to explain these videos. They're like reaction essay story time videos, but like I intend on pushing into new space, but the thing is, I don't even know what it is yet. But I just
Okay.
want to make sure that it's going to be different,
All
and
right.
that's more very important to me.
Because I enjoy your video essays on the cheaters. I mean, that's something huge that blew up on you. I don't think you
We're still
expected
going to
it.
do that. That's for sure. That's
I mean, did you
there's
expect?
plenty of work to
No, did you
do there.
expect how big that blew up? Like, did you imagine?
The I expected to do well, but I didn't know it would blow up that much. I didn't actually know. I didn't know it would be that big. I was hoping for like maybe this can be like 80,000 views, and then they ended up being over hundreds of thousands of views. So like they beat my expectations.
No, my favorite is when you do like little store how like certain characters line up in certain segments for. There's like this one young lady. She's in four different magic cards. So it's like, oh, you see the carry on of a character. Pretty neat.
Oh yes, the
The
you mean like
Legion's
the
Lieutenant.
Easter eggs, the
Yes,
Easter eggs videos? Yes.
I enjoy those. That's like I'm like it's like, oh, I didn't see that. I didn't know that. You know,
Exactly.
the only time I ever see that is my friend who's actually on the thing, Chuck. He plays unique decks, and he always shows us these unique hidden gems inside the cards. He makes a left-handed deck, so all the characters in the card has to have left hand, like they're using their
Hmm.
left hand. I don't know why, but then you're like, oh, this character's here, this character's here, oh, okay, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, people love knowing those little tidbits in those cards.
Mm. So, let me ask you as my final question,
Sure.
for this segment here.
Yeah,
All
there could
right,
always be more questions later.
of course, that's what's for. Where do you think Magic's going to go in the next couple years? I hear a lot of rumbling out there. People are not happy with the latest iteration
Hmm.
in what's alchemy.
They're not happy with anything. They're not happy
Well,
with
no, they're
alchemy.
not.
They're not happy with like secret layers or universes beyond. They're not happy with where standard is going. They're not happy with anything. It's going to the moon. And I tell you what Wizards is trying to do. They're trying to go big. They're going big or going home now. Before, Magic the Gathering was this small, tiny community, very small game of like, they said it was like 1 million people. Who knows if it was even that much? And they're now deciding, you know what? This game is good. It's stable. It's been around for 30 years. We can take over. Let's try to suck in as many people as possible into this game. And the problem when you do that is you're gonna burn down like maybe some of the old diehards because the game is gonna change in favor of drawing in a larger crowd. So as Magic gets bigger and they start appealing to newer players, it's gonna offend the old diehard players, the old school players of the game. So I would expect more people are going to get upset because Wizards is going to, from here on out, try to absorb a much larger player base than ever before. Neon Dynasty is easily going to try to appeal to cyberpunk fans, and they're just blatantly trying to grab people with these universes beyond and secret lair cards with they're gonna have Lord of the Rings, they're gonna have Fortnite, and they're gonna have all sorts of bizarre wacky stuff in the future. And people are not going to be happy playing with these cards. Some people are not going to be happy, but a lot of new people will be happy.
Well, all I know is there's supposed to be a cyber motorcycle, and as a person who rides motorcycles, so I'm like, okay, that'll be cool.
Yeah.
But all I want is a one mana spirit. That's all I want. Just one mana spirit.
You
That's it.
want another one? You don't have enough?
No, no, no. I want something better than Mausoleum Wanderer. I want Peekaboo. Yeah, the card that I keep on begging Wizards for. Peek on 1/1 spirit creature.
Oh, that'd be sweet. Yeah, know
That's all I
exactly
want.
what's in your opponent's hand, play around it perfectly.
And the name is perfect. Peekaboo.
Peekaboo.
There you go.
That one's for you, Wizards. That one's free. You can
So,
have that one.
Mark Rosewater, I know you watched this show. Okay, so it's a moral imperative. Peekaboo. Okay, and
I'm
then you can
giving
have
it to
my
you, Wizards, on behalf of Dwight.
exactly. If you need a fat guy model as like a just a model for fat guys, I'm here for it. I'll be the ghost. Like, all right. So let me ask you now that we're done with segment number one, let
Hmm.
me just remind the audience that you have your show, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Coffee and MTG. They can find you at Nikachu MTG on Twitter and Twitch. You're amazing. All I gotta say is like I love your content. Now
You're
it's time
welcome.
for segment number two, where we discuss the top cards printed in Modern
Yeah.
in 2021. I had to bring this up because you know what? I think Modern has completely changed compared to what it was last year. Last year we had uh the one Titan that was just the green blue generic Titan that was ruining Uro. It was ruining everything, and there was
Hmm.
only a couple of decks that were doing anything. And I hate to say, Spirits was winning at 80% of the clip against them, but I was happy about it. But everybody else was miserable.
Hmm.
But Modern has completely changed, since the beginning of the year. I think it's amazing,
Hmm.
and I love that different decks are just coming out of nowhere, and the meta is just one day it's here, one moment it's here. We don't know. I mean, of course, we know certain decks are stand above the rest, but it's like football. Any given Sunday, any deck can win.
Yeah, right now it's nothing is completely overpowering everything else. There's a lot of really good powerful decks at the top. So I mean there's a lot of viable things that can win. I mean even like a Hardened Scales player made the top 8 of MTG Las Vegas, and even Amulet Titan, even when the Amulet Titan players started to lose hope in their deck, it made 2 copies at the top 8 of MTG Las Vegas. Then all of a sudden, people are playing Titan again online because, oh, look, it's good again. Look what it did in an open event.
The only thing I have an issue with is I wish brewers would have the confidence to go out there, build their brews, and test them out.
Hmm.
Modern is wide open, wide open. Try it out. You have nothing to lose. I mean, me personally, I would like to see as much as in Modern we have for the Spear Tribe, we have the Azorius and Bant. I see there's an opportunity for a mono blue spirit build. I like we've got the new card from the new set.
Hmm.
There's potential there. It's just who's got the testicular, or sorry, gonadal fortitude to sit there and take up the mantle and say, I have the gonads, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? So we don't chastise anybody for having any particular type of gonad. So I enjoy saying that word. Sorry. So with that being said,
Everyone
let
has a word.
exactly mine is gonads. So let's talk about the top cards printed in
Hmm.
2021. We're going to start with your honorable mentions because you are the guest. You brought up Fury as one of your honorable mentions.
Yes.
Why?
This card is like, it's almost like Anger the Gods in like in force mode. So there are quite a few decks that piloted this. I think the main deck that's playing this is the sort of elemental soup deck with Omnath, Fury, Solitude, Teferi, Ren, and Six. So there's a lot of red cards that can be pitched to Fury. But the point is, like, no deck can get, like, super underneath another. Like, you can't just, like, play a bunch of creatures and hope to get in for a huge attack, because Fury's actually going to destroy either one or at least one or two of them at the same time. So it prevents a lot of stupid aggro strategies. And so even if you get a Dragon Rage Chandler and a Ragavan out, you're gonna get 2 for 2'd there, even if Dragon Rage Chandler is online. But I think it's a very, very strong card that slows the format down. So you can't aggro out this elemental deck. It will play a Fury, eat up your creatures, and slow the game down so that they can like take over with Omnath or Teferi or something.
I'm just happy they did not make this card with Flash. That
Oh
you
yeah.
know, because God forbid this card have Flash.
I don't think any of them should have flash except subtlety, because subtlety is the only one that acts sort of like a counter spell. I'm very
Let's,
surprised Solitude
yeah,
has flash.
well, yeah, Solitude, yeah.
Sure, you can use Solitude.
Of course, you don't twist my arm for wanting to use that card.
Hmm.
And then the other card you decided to go with was Murktide Regent.
Yeah, Murktide Regent. So there's no doubt this card really well positioned. Like it's really, really strong. It dodges all the traditional hate right now, or like the most popular hate. So Prismatic Ending doesn't hit it because we don't have 7 colors for Prismatic Ending to wipe it out. Bolt doesn't do it. Unholy Heat won't do it if you set Murktide up to be a 7/7 when it enters the battlefield. So Murktide Regent is just like this big dummy that's just almost impossible to deal with. So it's a very powerful card. But the thing is, it's played in like 1 to 2 decks. It's not played in a lot of archetypes. It's played in very few. It's basically played in one deck, and it's a very good deck. But you need to build your whole. What it implies to me is you more or less have to build your deck around Murktide Regent. It needs to be just a super spell heavy based deck, and that's about it. So I think it's very worthy to say this is one of the more powerful cards that were printed in 2021, but played in more or less just one deck.
All right. Well, what I ended up doing was I decided with my honorable mentions, I'm going to start with Prismatic Ending. I
Hmm.
think Prismatic Ending was one of these cards. I remember you mentioning on one of your episodes that they tried it out as an instant and it was too powerful. And I look at the card, I was like, nah, it's okay. And then as I use the card, I'm like, wow, this card is bananas.
Hmm.
But the only problem I find is that the only time I ever see it being played in main is, just control decks. That's it. I don't see it like I see it in the sideboard, but never in the main, and that's why I had to put it in the honorable mentions because it's like it's a very strong, very powerful card, but it's just pigeonholed at the moment. It's like wanting to be something more, even though it's a stupid powerful card.
Hmm. Well, I think there's a few decks that might be playing this. If I'm not mistaken, what's it called? It is. I mean, it is the ultimate sideboard card. I mean, like
Yes,
you
hands
you
down.
get rid of all the other nonsense that used to play that only destroyed enchantments or artifacts or planeswalker
Hmm.
or this or that. Prismatic Ending deals with basically everything. And what's great is that one white it deals with all the 1 drops, which is pretty relevant because the metagame is pretty dominated by 1 drops.
Well, that leads me to the next card that I was gonna
Hmm.
go with, that I went with on my honorable mentions, just because I'm gonna see this thing banned, and that's no insults about it for me. It's Ursa Saga. Ursa Saga, I think is a great card, but it's just it's gonna get the ban hammer. I know we both know. This is welcome
It's a matter of time.
2021, but you're gone in 2022. I'm just waiting for Watsy to go. Thank you for buying Modern Horizons 2, ladies and gentlemen, and keep on buying boxes, but now it's gone.
But it'll still have play in EDH. You can go
Oh,
get your
yeah.
soul ring after
Yeah.
chapter 3 breaks.
I agree. So now it leads us to our top five. I'm going to let you go first with your top five. Do you have your
Sweet.
list or you want me to bring it up for you?
I got my list. I got my
Okay.
list.
So in your top five, number five, you selected.
Urza Saga. We didn't have to go anywhere.
No, look at
We're
that.
right
No,
there.
there you go.
Nothing had to move. So Urza Saga is if a Jund deck is playing this, and this doesn't add red, black, or green mana,
Mm,
then that just shows the outright power of this card. And they're just playing it specifically to randomly go get a Shadow Spear, sometimes a Mishra's Bauble, and to make construct tokens. I have played with this card, and it's amazing how hard it is for control decks to deal with it, especially decks that are dominantly trying to control the game with counter spells. So you just play Urza Saga, and all of a sudden they're like, I don't know what to do about this. And even if they play Teferi, you can make these constructs at end of turn. So they still cannot interact very favorably with Urza Saga. And these constructs get big really, really quickly. Make construct, make another construct, get an artifact in play. Now you got like 3 artifacts at least, maybe more if you played them on earlier turns. So like and of course it has a lot of potential to be broken. I think right now it's fine. It's a very, very, very good card, but it doesn't look like it's ban worthy yet because there's just so many ban worthy cards, and it just doesn't look like they're just going to ban anything because this is just the new power level of modern. But Urza Saga has the greatest potential to get banned because it's a tutor. Like
Mm-hmm.
it can find things. So it's just a matter of time before they print some artifact at 0 or 1 mana and it just changes everything, and then all of a sudden this card is like over the top, and or Lantern Control is over the top or something. Someone's going to break this card, and it's just a matter of time. I don't know what it is, but it's on the edge. It's on
Right.
the edge, and it's not going back. It's only going forward.
Well, for me, my number five, I ended up having to go with Murktide Regent. And the reason why is it made its own archetype. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't see cards that just do that. I could have put Asmo Morano, Minty, Julep Tea. Um, but I didn't because this deck does exceptionally well in modern.
Hmm.
You like you said, it's not a thinking man's deck, but it's
Well, it is. It's a thinking man's deck at a high level. At a low level, you don't need to. You don't. What I'm trying to say is, you don't need to be a thinking man to pick it up. But then
exactly.
you can learn to think and play it better.
You can learn to count to 20 by taking off your shoes. There you
Hmm.
go. But that's the reason why I picked it. It's such a powerful card. I mean, it's like what the black card. Oh God, why is it failing me? The black card that has
Death Shadow.
delve.
Oh,
No, the
Gurmag
delve.
Angler.
Or there you go. It's just like the angler,
Hmm.
but it's a flyer.
Oh yeah, it's strictly better. The
It's
Gurmag Angler
so much better.
is outdated. Very dated.
Exactly. So, I mean, with this being said, it created its own archetype. It's like an angler with wings. How could you go wrong? And then
Hmm.
plus, my wife loves dragons. So
Yeah,
that's
who
why I
doesn't
put it
like dragons?
exactly. So I put it at my number five. At your number four, you actually surprised me with this one.
Oh, I did I?
You did. Share with us what your number four is.
Ragavan.
Ragavan.
Nimble Pilfer. It's a great card. It's a really, really good card, and it's so annoying when it snowballs out of control.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, it's still very vulnerable. Like, it has two problems. First, it dies to everything. In modern, it's not that abusable because of the sheer amount of removal in the format. This is a creature based format. People need to be packing removal. And the second thing is, because it's a creature based format, this thing has a problem with blockers. It's very weak. It's very small. So it still has the problem of attacking into things. I mean, if you play a Murktide Regent, well, this guy's stone blocked. So it's only as good as it can deal damage to the opponent, and if it cannot, that's its downside. Now, that being said, if you do get to deal damage, it can like run away with the game. You get extra mana through the treasure tokens, you get extra cards off your opponent's deck, so you can grind them out that way. So very, very good card, but some liabilities. So like for me, like this is not that powerful of a card because it's so situationally dependently powerful, and it is
Okay.
good. It's definitely good, but it cannot run the show by itself.
Oh no, 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 no. But it's so powerful. I like when I first saw that, I was like, oh, I got a
Mhm.
good playset. Oh, at $90? No, I don't. No, I don't.
And it is that good of a card. I mean, yeah, a lot of decks are basically were built around this thing.
it's no Tarmogoyf, but being a little brother of Tarmogoyf, yeah, yeah, it's stupid powerful. So at my number four, I decided to go a little bit, I decided to go on the outskirts, and I decided to go with Tasha's hideous laughter at number four.
Aha, that
And, and
that is out there in like left field.
and this is the reason why. You had people who wanted mill. How long have we heard you and I watching your show? Mill, 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 mill. Now it's
Oh
probably
yeah.
8 rack now. So it's mill, 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 mill. Well, will they ever have a good mill card? Mill card, mill. Here it is. WotC created for all those mill players. Tasha's hideous laughter. It is ridiculous how powerful it is, especially in modern. The fact that the mana value 20, come on.
I mean, not only that, it exiles the card. So, I mean, traditionally, people could play like something like Kozilek or Emrakul
Mm-hmm.
to infinitely loop in their deck, but now that will exile the Emrakul. So, screw you, Emrakul, you're gone. So, a lot of the sideboard cards that were used to beat Mill, this is like an answer to it naturally against them.
No, I just wonder about the card because I mean about the little girl in the image. She's sitting there with a feather, tickling the dragon. I'm like, no, run! What are you doing? Like, give it a good choke, but then walk away. You know, don't have a feather. What's wrong with you? If it was like that, angels would be trying to tickle the dragon all the time. But that's no here or there. So at number three, you decided to go with what?
Solitude.
Solitude.
This was a big game changer for the format. Like normally, as the as the card pool gets larger, having you reducing the mana cost of your deck lower and lower puts you at an advantage. And we do still see that in modern with Death Shadow, with the Murktide deck, with Hammer Time. But then we see chunkier decks. Like Control is pretty chunky. It's the curve is pretty high, and the Elemental decks and oh, I'm missing another deck that plays Solitude. But Solitude slows the game down. It's like force of will for creatures, which is
Brought
very
back.
important because it is a creature based format. And so if you cannot win quickly with those creatures, then and the game goes long, a lot more archetypes now have the ability to play with a higher casting cost and turn the game around at some point there.
I
So I
hear you.
thought Solitude was a big game changer for those decks that want to play at a higher mana cost.
Yeah, I see Solitude being a huge card. Especially in the elemental decks. It's used in spirits here and there. It's
Yep.
used in a control decks. I mean, I think you were probably thinking of a brought back deck. I don't know if you've seen that deck,
I have seen that thing.
and they use Solitude itself. So it's I hate
You
that
bring
deck
it
so much.
back.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
there's a lot of Yorian Blink decks that play
oh,
this thing.
awful,
Can't forget about
awful.
the. I mean, I guess some Crashing Footfall deck probably. I think I've played against Crashing Footfalls with Solitude as well.
Well, it's kind of funny that you bring in, you're talking about Living End and Crashing Footfalls because at my number three, I decided to go with Shardless Agent.
Hmm.
I know. Many people are gonna go, yeah, Dwight, you poo pooed the bed here. Yeah, it was printed in 2012. Okay, but it wasn't in modern.
It wasn't in modern.
So it got reprinted in Modern Horizons 2. And it seems like every badass card was printed in Modern Horizons 2. It- what can I say, Watsy? What you got to step up your game. But Shardless Agent, I many people were like, "What's it going to do? What is it going to make an impact?" And ladies and gentlemen, it did. Living End, it makes its life in Living End. It makes its way in Teamer Cascade. I mean, what this card is so stupidly powerful.
You know what's funny though? Like no one thought that those were the uses of Shardless Agent. Like
No.
everyone's like, we're gonna get a Goyf off this thing, or we can cast Ancestral
Mm-hmm.
Visions, or they're looking for value in those directions. But yeah, it's just an excellent combo piece for a Living End, which they needed. They especially the blue Living End decks, and just ended up being in combination with all the other elementals that we got,
Mm-hmm.
it slotted into those Crashing Footfall decks pretty perfectly.
Yeah, like, what would you rather have, like a Tarmogoyf or two, 4/4 rhinos?
Yeah, you want the rhinos, you want the little
Exactly.
rhinoceros action.
So at number two, you went with
Prismatic Ending.
Prismatic Ending. Go figure. Tell us why.
It's like it shapes removal spells from here on out. It may not be like the most outrageously. It's the most. I still think it's one of the most powerful removal spells. Like it exile for 1 mana, exiles 1 drops and 0 drops. Basically exiles. It can answer any permanent in the game. Um, and I mean it's just too universal of an answer, and it is slotted. It can be slotted into too many decks because it's so easy to just splash one for white, and it just shows up in way too many archetypes.
Let me ask you, if it was an instant, how much difference do you think this guy would have made?
Tons, because apparently if it was an instant, it would have been above and beyond the best card ever printed as a removal spell. So as a sorcery, and it's still pretty good. Like with as a sorcery, it exiles like ramp cards, like Utopia Sprawl, for example. It's hit Ether Vial, so the Ether Vial decks. It's hard to say that they know how to adapt. I mean, it's like, what are they gonna do? Just not play Ether Vial? Some Merfolk's not even playing Ether Vial in some cases. They're going this weird Utopia sprawl route. But like, yeah, so it hits like more than just mana dorks, and it can screw over a lot of players. It's just very flexible. Just a great removal spell. Just
All
really
right.
good.
For me, at the number two spot, I did a cascading effect here, and I said all elementals, just because to me, you know, a cycle of these things is stupid, and then you put them in a soup, and then you got tribal elementals with Omnath. Let me just tell you, I built that deck. Oh my god, the interaction is so powerful.
And
It's
it's free.
amazing. I like I'm gonna be honest with you. I love like I started Magic with Merfolk. I'm
Hmm.
gonna be quite sincere with you. I loved Merfolk. Putting my force of wills like, no, you can't do this. Just playing with my friends. And then for some reason, I saw Drug School Captain. I was like, there's something here. Then Supreme Phantom came out, and I was like, there you go. I found my team. But now seeing this, I'm not giving up my spirits ever. But man, this is like that guy. You've seen that meme where the guy's walking down hand in hand with his girlfriend, and you're like, "Oh, look!" And then you see that hot girl walking the opposite direction.
Oh yes, the
Okay, that's the elemental tribal deck for me. I'm like, yeah. Oh, I was like, I'll play that game with my wife. She reminds me of so and so, doesn't she? So you can keep on staring at her. But that's no, right there. Okay, now I'm in trouble. She's looking at me. So, but that's what I went with. So, for me, I thought the elementals were very good, from solitude to fury
Mhm.
to subtlety to the black one, which grief, which
Grief. Yeah.
everybody was saying that was such a. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's so a strong card, but wow, that thing is completely poo pooed. Like,
Oh yeah, I mean, I was one of very few people who said that card was overrated from the start. It's like because the bottom line is this: it attacks your hand, but it doesn't attack the board.
mhm,
So it's like Thoughtseize. You can't Thoughtseize what they top deck. You can't Thoughtseize what they top deck on the top of their deck. Whereas Solitude, it influences the board. So if you like Grief, Ephemerate, Grief, and then you get the rebound off the Ephemerate. You take away 3 cards from their hand, but like big deal, they didn't spend any mana on this or anything like that. Nothing was really lost. Well, I mean, aside from 3 cards, I guess.
right.
But Solitude, you play Solitude, you exile a creature, you ephemerate the Solitude, hit another creature, then the ephemerate comes back, you hit a third creature. That's backbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is really game changing.
Amen. And what I find funny is even the green one is better than grief. I mean, how like to me, it affects as a spirit player, it affects me completely. It has reach and flash
Hmm.
for 2 green and 1. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, the endurance. I
Yeah,
mean,
it,
it's
it
it's 3/4 too.
yeah, it kills almost every spirit out there. It's just like, come on, spirit, Watsy, what are you doing? No, you don't know. But they didn't know any better. They didn't know about the elemental soup.
They
Shame
didn't
on
see it
them.
coming.
No, no, they did not. So at number one, the top card that you picked for 2021 in Modern was
Dragon's Rage Channeler.
Darcy.
I didn't, I mean, if you asked me this like months ago, I wouldn't have chosen this card. Maybe I had it up there, but not as number one. But this is molded. This has changed every deck every deck that's built around it. Not every deck, not every red deck plays Ragavan, but every red deck basically plays Dragon Rage Chandler, with the exception of maybe like Burn, but they don't play Ragavan either. This still forces Dax to play with Mishra's Bauble so that you can like fill the graveyard for Delirium, but also it proved to be just way better than Delver. It's a 3/3
Yes.
instead of a 3/2. As you cast cards, you just dump garbage off the top of your library and keep the good stuff on top. It fills your graveyard for all your graveyard strategies, whether you're like trying to bring back a Murktide or fill the graveyard for a Tarmogoyf, or whatever, fill the graveyard for Snapcaster Mage. A lot of graveyard oriented decks out there. Also, synergy with Unholy Heat if you have Delirium online. So like this, and it's so hard to keep them off Delirium. I don't know how many times like my opponent has one card in hand, I crack Relic of Progenitus. All right, it's a 1/1 creature, but then they cast an instant, cast a sorcery, put a land and a artifact in the graveyard, and now it's just back online all over again. So I ended up thinking this is a very influential card and pretty good clock. Delver of Secrets was nothing to sneeze at, and this is just Delver on steroids.
Well, let me ask you, if the you were talking about the one card, I can't believe I just forgot the name of it, the artifact for 0, and they
Yeah, Mishra's
sacrifice
Bauble.
Mishra's Bauble. Thank you. Now, if that gets banned, what's going to happen with this card? Do you think it's still going to be top tier, or is it going to be like meh?
I don't know what they're gonna replace it with. Like, I don't know what they'll replace Mishra's Bauble with. It'll definitely be harder to activate Delirium, but maybe they'll just. I don't know what they'll do. It will
Okay.
still be pretty good. It definitely won't be. Maybe Delirium will be a little less consistent. I'm not sure what they would replace with it because, like, they could put some random artifacts in the deck for Urza Saga and still, as like Urza Saga targets, for example.
All right. No,
And
because
then,
I have a friend of mine who plays Grixis Death Shadow. He loves this card. He absolutely, he says it's the bee's knees.
yeah, he definitely would love it.
All right. And then my final card, the one that I said I wanted and I couldn't because it's $90 a piece. It's Ragavan. Ragavan. I went with the little pirate monkey. To me, I played against this card multiple times, and this stupid monkey always gets under me. And it's like, no, 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 no. I want this thing banned, but I know Watsy will never ban this card because it's a fun little white monkey. And it's just I've seen this card just pull away in games, and it's just like it's not fair. It's not right. That's why I want a 1/1, very good 1/1 spirit, because I'm going to be honest with you. Mausoleum Wonder is great. It counters instants and sorceries, but this is it's not. It has 3 abilities.
Do you think Peekaboo would beat this thing?
No, but still, it has 3. Well, Peekaboo gives you 3 abilities too, if you think about it. You look at the opponent's hand, it flies, and
It
you draw.
blocks.
Yeah, and you get to draw a card. You got to draw a card
Oh
with
yeah,
that.
you do replace itself. All right, yeah,
So
it's
that's
got
what I'm
something
saying.
going there.
Is it as powerful? No, but I'm willing to play the Peekaboo, block. I don't care because I still got a card that I drew, and it's going to be better. Hopefully, maybe another Peekaboo or a Mausoleum Wanderer. Like, what was the Skyclave apparition? It could be
Yes.
Spellcaller. It could be anything. But this stupid monkey, I loathe it. I absolutely loathe this stupid monkey, and that's why I put it at number 1 because I have a hard time dealing with it. Plus, I'm
Yeah,
not a
our
fan of
decks
monkeys.
our decks have trouble against this because we don't play with a lot of hard removal. So you look at a Murktide deck, which is like 1/3 removal, Death Shadow 1/3 removal, Jund 1/3 removal. They all have removal for this thing. They're all prepared. But us tribal players, not as good on the like dealing with permanents on the ground.
There you go. So thank you, Nikachu, for sharing your insight. I have one more card that I personally I just want to ask you about. I saw Maven. For those who don't know, Maven, right? Or Marin, sorry,
Marin
Marin,
MTG.
Marin MTG. She's a young lady. She's a YouTube influencer. She picks up decks in modern and other formats. She's amazing. Let me just tell you, big fan of hers. She brought up this card, Wandering Mind.
Hmm.
I have it here on the thing. I'll read it for the listening audience. It's one generic, a blue, a red. It's a creature horror 2/1 flyer. When Wandering Mind enters the battlefield, Look at the top six cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them and put that into your hand, and then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. She was saying, not trying to besmirch her or anything. Like, she was saying that this was the next Snapcaster. I don't think it's the next Snapcaster, but for the Snapcaster is what, a generic and a blue and a 2/1. This is a
Yeah.
generic blue and a red for a flying 2/1. That's pretty good, but you get to look at the six top cards of your library like a potential tutor. Very strong.
It's like basically what Ancient Stirrings for
Ooh, there you go.
spells, more or
So what do you
less.
think of this card? Do you think this will ever see modern play?
It could. So this is the type of card I think is very good, but it has no home. Like,
Hmm,
where do you put this? Who wants this card for 3 mana? Is this like, what do you want? Is this better than other options at 3 mana? Like a control deck wants to play Teferi Time Reveler at 3 mana, or steal something with Archmage's Charm, or draw 2 cards with Archmage's Charm. Although, like, this could be, you could argue this is better than Archmage's Charm because it's a 2/1, so you already got like a card invest. Like, Archmage's Charm is instant speed, draw 2. If you're looking for card advantage, this is a 2/1 at sorcery speed, but you get to dig for something that you really actually want. So it's hard to see if this is going to get replaced by anything in a control deck, or this is going to replace something in a control deck. But like, it's good value. Like, I would imagine, like, if some sort of horror tribal deck were to come up, that this would be it. And it
hmm,
can't be too heavy on the horror creatures because we still need enough non-creature spells to, basically grab.
right.
Because it looks for non-creature, non-land cards, so you can't have too many creatures. But maybe something in that realm that
You can get a planeswalker
you can get a planeswalker. You can
because she
absolutely
ended
get
up
a.
she
Hmm.
ended up playing this with Sahili Ray and the cat that bounces back and forth.
Ah, the cat combo.
She ended up
Yes.
going 9/1 with this.
That's pretty good. Maybe that's the route. Maybe it's meant to be in like a combo shell, so you have something to do on turn 3, but you're digging deep into your deck for your combo pieces.
So I mean, I saw this. I was like, well, I love the art because a little brain with wings. It's kind of creepy, but I love it.
Yes.
So so I was like, I started to listen to what she said. I was like, it's pretty smart, but I wanted to get your perspective on it because as soon as she went Snapcaster, I was like, hmm,
Yeah. So
just
like
pump the
it.
brakes. But
Yeah, like Snapcaster Mage is instant speed, and you want to hold your mana up as much as you can in any control shell. And Snapcaster Mage is played exclusively in control. So tapping out to play this thing seems very dangerous in like all other control shells. But it's still good. Like, it's a 2/1 flying body that digs fairly deep into your deck for specific cards. So it's good. It's got potential. It's just the shell. What is the best deck for this card? Because I doubt it's going to be a control deck.
well, I'm happy. I'm happy it says non-creatures because if it had creatures, you could put the elemental subtlety and
Yeah,
fury in here. And dear Lord, how bad this card would be.
grab it for free.
Mm, that's awful. So with that being said, Nikachu, thank you once again. And you know what? Let's see. Let's start with what share about yourself. You have an opportunity to share about you. Share away.
Oh, yo, you want to know where you can find me?
There you go.
I mean, anything you can find on Nikachu MTG, where you can. I have like 3 YouTube channels. One of them, some more active than others. Nikachu MTG has like all sorts of fun drama story videos. We got Nikachu MTG streams for what gameplay I still have in my morning show. You can find my Coffee and MTG show there, and Nikachu MTG news for random metagame stuff, like metagame shifts and like news related to that, and other MTG news related to this. And you can find me on Twitter, Nikachu MTG, for like whatever I tweet. I tweet a meme once in a while here and there. You can find that. That's about it. Oh,
Don't
and
stop being
Twitch.
humble. You post great content. Be proud. Stick out your chest. Go, hey, yes.
Well, hey, I'm not denying my YouTube game is strong, but my Instagram game sucks. My
Okay.
Twitter game is like, Uh, I know other people are doing better than me there. I'm not trying. More than 4,000 people follow me on Twitter. Why? I don't know. But you know what? Thank you very much for following me. I appreciate it.
I hear you. I have a friend of mine. I call him New Dan because my brother-in-law is Dan. He plays Magic, and then we have him, New Dan. He's a big fan of yours. He actually plays Merfolk all the time, and he's a big fan of the Is It uh,
Oh,
brand
what?
of Merfolk.
Yeah, that's a wild one. Lightning bolts, blood moon. Some people are trying Ragavan now. I don't really believe in it at all, but
No.
hey, it's number one on your list, so why not?
So I guarantee they're going to call it Sea Monkey. There's
Oh,
some.
that's a good one. Oh, that's a
Mm,
good name.
well, so you don't get nailed, just call it Ocean Chimps.
Mm-hmm.
Just throwing it out there so you don't get nailed with the copyright infringement.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you, Nikachu, for coming on. I know you work with Fusion Gaming. You always proselytize them. You always proselytize the other thing where you rent out magic cards. I forget
Mana traders.
mana traders. I'm gonna have to bother you because I know I want to start playing games online and start streaming and stepping up my game so I can be a Nikachu missionary and pass the knowledge of my tribe and spirits to others. So I want to thank you, sir, for being on the show. Happy holidays.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
Not a problem. Hopefully, this will be the first of several in years to come. And for those who want to reach out to Nikachu, reach out to him at Nikachu MTG on Twitter and Twitch. And let me just tell you, great follow. Watch his show, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Coffee and MTG. Great insight. He does a deck list review.
Yeah, we talk Magic, then we review deck lists at the end.
I pull out my hair because sometimes it's like, come on, guys, come on, like stop. No, enough of the 8 rack. Enough of the 8 rack. No more 8 rack.
They love that 8 rack stuff, you know? Yeah, that's the new trending thing right now. No one asked me about Mill now. There's already a Mill deck.
No, to Tash's hideous laughter,
Yeah,
he handled all of it.
Mill's been built. Wizards gifted them many new cards.
Well, let me ask you one last question.
Mm-hmm.
Kamigawa,
Mm-hmm.
got any feelings?
I have a feeling Spirits is going to get upgraded. I don't know what it is, but like, I mean, it's a Spirit set, more or less. Like, how could you not get something? And
Well,
maybe it will encourage you to go, like, you know, you've always traditionally gone blue-white. Maybe now you can go blue-red, blue-green, blue-black. Who knows what they're going to give you guys?
there is a Simic build. There is a Simic build in Pioneer.
There is.
So I'm interested to see how that works. So with that being said, Nikachu, thank you very much for being on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And for those listening worldwide, I hope you had as much fun, listening to Nikachu, growing from Nikachu, and watching on YouTube. I had fun, my man. So thank you. So at the next time, ladies and gentlemen, you're kicking your opponent's ass. Make sure they say that's bullshit. We're out of here.